Welcome, wrestling fans, to the PW Fan Podcast, the ultimate pro wrestling podcast created by fans for the fans. This is episode 160. I'm your host, collector, barber, musician, and most importantly, a professional wrestling podcaster, Talk Wrestling, Tim Gilbert. And passing it over to my co-hosts,
the architect of pro wrestling podcast, Booker Andy.
I'm also your host, the no selling wrestling indie fan and football lover, Jeremy.
All right, everyone. Today we will be discussing and reviewing this week's haps in the world of wrestling. But before we get started, like The Rock, before we get started, you can find us on all social media by searching at the PW Fan TikTok for as much longer as they'll let us be on there. And then I only mean that as who knows how much TikTok is going to be around, how much longer.
Forever.
Yeah. Well, you think it's gonna be fine? You think it's all gonna work out?
I hope so.
On Instagram at the PW Fan X, we don't use that much. What's outside of this? Because Elon's like, what's outside of the simulation? And then on YouTube, go to youtube.com/the PW Fan Pod. And if you want to support us with getting a t-shirt, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/the PW Fan, where we got a bunch of designs. Andy, all right, we're going to be talking about episode 160. What do you got for us today?
Today we're going to be going over the results of Wrestle Dynasty. We're going to be talking about AEW's first episode on HBO Max. We're going to be talking about a fantastic Seth Rollins and CM Punk segment on Raw, and much more. So let's get right into it. We're not going to go over this, but Wrestle Kingdom did happen on Friday, the I guess third, right? The third. For us, it would be the third date, going into the fourth. Yeah. For us, it'd be over here on the East Coast
in America.
In America. But we did also have Wrestle Dynasty, which is like Forbidden Door, but instead of it being on the AEW side heavy, it's more New Japan heavy with AEW coming over. So it's their version of the Forbidden Door, if you get what I'm saying. So let's go through...
I'm saying.
Go through some of the main matches, which I believe... I mean, there was a pre-show, but... Yeah, I might as well go through all of them.
I'm not going to lie. Dragon Ball Z really missed out on the opportunity to have a character named Nam, who was a Saiyan. So that way...
Nam Saiyan? Oh, my God. Okay.
And he got it.
All right. In the pre-show, we had
I love
Fatal 4-Way.
The grunt of disgust.
We had a Fatal 4-Way for the International Women's Cup. It was Persephone, Momo Watanabe, Willow Nightingale, and Athena. Winner was Momo Watanabe. Then we had a Lucha Gauntlet match. God, this is going to be awful pronouncing these names. Okay.
Oh, also real quick on the first one, they said that after that match that WWE should be looking at what's her name, Momo
Watanabe.
Yeah.
Lucha Gauntlet match, which consisted of 4 New Japan
nothing,
guys
Andy. And Jeremy threw that out there. You were like,
I didn't
anyways.
I didn't watch, so I have no opinion on her. I have no opinion on her.
All right, so anyways.
I'll just go fuck myself, Andy.
I didn't see. That's cool. She'll probably go to NXT. They just signed a bunch of women over the past couple months.
Yeah, that's fine.
So I don't even know if it would be anytime soon.
That's fine.
That's cool.
What's the next match?
The Lucha Gauntlet match had Hechicero, Kosi Fujita. I hate doing this.
Don't get mad at yourself. He's
Saburano, Master Wato, Mascara Dorada, Taji Ishimori, Titan. I knew that word. And El Desperado. I knew that movie. Winner was Desperado. Ishimori.
Yeah, and he's like, I know how to pronounce them words.
Desperado.
I saw Antonio Banderas in that movie.
And Selma Hayek. All right. Then we had
Selma Dude, Selma Hayek is crazy.
So then we had Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Shibata. It says exhibition match, grappling rules. It was a time limit draw. I do think at Wrestle Kingdom, Tanahashi had a match to where if he lost, he was going to retire, which he did not, which he should have.
I don't know. He owns New Japan, so he can do whatever he wants.
He's like Leonardo DiCaprio in Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not
Yeah.
fucking leaving. I'm not fucking leaving. After
That's
Shibata,
that's Ric Flair. He says he still has one more match in him.
God, insane. He had fucking like 10 heart attacks in his last match. It was a strong women's and undisputed British women's championships. Mina Shirakawa versus Mercedes Moné. We had Mercedes Moné defeating Shirakawa. David Finlay versus Brody King. David Finlay would end up defeating him. Shoto Umino versus Claudio Castagnoli. Umino would defeat Castagnoli. Then we had Takeshita versus Tomohiro Ishii. Never open weight and AEW International Championship. Konosuke would retain against him. We had the United Empire versus the Young Bucks versus Los Ingobernables de Japan. This was for the vacant 106 IWGP Tag Team Championships. This is the first time the Bucks had been back in New Japan in a couple of years, and they win. They are the new IWGP Tag Champions. Then we had Yota Tsuji versus Jack Perry for the IWGP Global Heavyweight Championship. Tsuji would end up retaining. We also had Kenny Omega versus Gabe Kidd, which apparently was an amazing match from what I read. Everyone's like, Omega is fucking back.
He looks so much better.
Yeah, the clips I saw looked really good. Omega would end up winning. Bleacher Report gives us an A-. I don't know what that is in Meltzer stars. But I heard,
like 8 stars.
Actual, the IWC was saying that it was a fantastic match. And then I believe this is the main event. Yeah. Zack Sabre Jr. versus Ricochet for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. Sabre Jr. would end up defeating Ricochet. All in all, it supposedly was a really good show that none of us watched.
Yeah. I saw highlights on TikTok.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into Dynamite. This past Wednesday, Dynamite had its first episode on HBO Max. They kept calling it simulcast, right? So it's on HBO Max at the same time that it's on TBS. It happens at the same time, just whatever you have.
Did you watch it on Max?
I started on Max and then I finished on TBS. I switched rooms.
Yeah. Is it during commercials? Does it show commercials on Max as well?
I think so.
Okay.
It's like a live stream. If you ever watch like live Hulu or whatever.
Yeah.
I think it's like that because it's all under kind of the same umbrella. So on Dynamite, Moxley would talk about destroying the AEW title in a pre-tape promo. Doesn't seem to give a shit about it. Pretty much. Hangman Adam Page would defeat Orange Cassidy in the opening match. The Hurt Syndicate would defeat the Acclaimed. During the match, Anthony Bowens would leave Max Caster hanging to allow the Hurt Syndicate to get the pin. Anthony Bowens is kind of fed up with Max Caster lately. Julia Hart,
they're gonna be done pretty soon.
Yeah, or face each other or whatnot. There's a little bit more to that on Collision. Julia Hart defeated Jamie Hayter in her first match back. She looked a little rusty from what I saw, but that's to be expected with such long time off. Jay White would defeat Roderick Strong and Swerve Strickland. Earns the number 1 spot in the Casino Gauntlet match. During the match, Ricochet attacked Swerve during, and then after the match, he attacked him by stabbing him in the head with scissors and making him bleed everywhere, and he hit a spirit gun on him while he was sitting in the ring. Ricochet's suit was covered in blood. I thought it was a good heel turn. I thought it was like the best thing they could be doing for Ricochet right now after that. This is in the aftermath, by the way, of the toilet paper stuff that happened at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I mean,
that was the most interesting he was.
His baby face
in a long time.
People don't want to see him as a good guy, so you got to go with it. I mean, why not? What do you got to
Yeah, I thought, and you go after a guy like Swerve, who the fan base loves, right?
He has good graces with the fans. He's a longtime OG.
Yeah. So, I'm glad like a company finally pulled the trigger on a heel Ricochet because God, his babyface promos fucking suck.
They're the worst.
So
Yeah, but that can be a good heel promo now.
yeah, because I hate it.
Yeah.
They're starting to add that into his even the vignette that they did before the match.
Yeah.
Dude, it's bad.
I just thought of Andy doing it last time, and I was like, start laughing.
So, yeah, I'm glad a company finally pulled the trigger on it. We'll see how his heel promos are. I don't think I've ever seen him cut one.
I don't know.
He's got it, dude, because he's going to use that real life anger, that real life annoyance of feeling disrespected. That's what always makes it good.
Moving forward, Jeff Jarrett had an announcement, which he came out with his boots.
I didn't like this.
Well,
Yeah.
I hate the Swerve promo of I'm gonna retire. No, you're really not. So he comes out, says he signed his last wrestling contract, and is looking to be a champion.
Yeah. Like, why do you have to bring his boots then?
Swerves,
Exactly.
bro.
Well, you know what I really didn't like?
Bro.
This name change coming up.
This is the worst part of the show.
Worst part of the show. Rated FTR would face the Death Riders. When Adam Copeland came out, the banner said Rated R Superstar Cope. So he's not going by Adam Copeland anymore, which I was just kind of getting used to.
Why not just Copeland?
Yeah.
Like the band, Copeland.
It's a better name, like when they're announcing you.
They're like, no, we need one word. Edge? Nah, Cope. And he's already trademarked it.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
Copeland.
remember,
Copeland's
you
better.
see, I think I sent you guys that little interview that he did with Renee, and he was like, I would just like to see Cope versus Mox. He's like, simple, and I was like, ugh. He did it.
I was even fine with the Cope Open when he was the champion, but
yeah, because that was like a
just like-
term, but no one. I have not seen one person that likes this.
No
I
one's
like
like,
it.
dude, Cope is fucking sick, dude.
I won't say that it'll never, or I'll never, not get used to it, but
Yeah, I'll
it
get
happens.
used to it, but
Yeah,
it's
I will, 'cause
not.
that's what happens. But.
I remember.
I also just don't like short names for when they announce people as their entrance because Cope.
I mean, I remember as a kid being like, I'm never gonna call Bradshaw JBL, and then that's all.
Now
I
you don't even
Cope
call him
as.
Bradshaw
And then now I
unless
just
you're
call him
talking to that
JBL.
character.
So it
Yeah.
just depends.
It's just two different characters
It's
at this
gotta
point.
grow on me. It's gotta grow.
And also,
on me.
how Tim was pissed that the JBL is older than him in 2004
I did not like that.
or younger
close
than him.
close to his age.
I just didn't like. I just remember being a kid and being like, dude, what is JBL like 50? And then now watching it being like, oh
He's
my
only a couple of years
God.
older than you are now.
And you.
I know.
Yeah.
I hated that video.
But so for this match, Jay White would come out to hit Wheeler Yuta with a Blade Runner. This allowed Cope to avoid a pile driver through the table from Mox and hit a spear through the barricade to him. FTR would hit the Shattered Machine on Wheeler, and Cope would hit a spear for the win. So rated FTR defeats the Death Riders. Where have their trios titles been? Death Riders are the AEW Trios champions.
I don't know.
Y'all forget
no one.
Wheeler,
They're the trios, right?
Wheeler, Pack, and Claudio are the AEW Trios champions.
Oh, they are because wait, did they lose those? No, they're still the champions. They don't care about the titles either.
I'm not gonna
Dude,
lie. No,
They don't even wear them.
I forgot that the Trios Championship was even a thing.
Yeah, because they don't wear them on the show.
They're a thing in ROH and in AEW. They have two sets of
Sorry.
Trios championship.
Sorry.
Wow.
All right, let's get into Collision. That wrapped up the first HBO Max Dynamite. Collision was also on HBO, I believe. Just remember, there is no more Rampage because Moxley killed it at the end of the last show. Opening match was Daniel Garcia retaining his TNT title against Mark Briscoe. We had a backstage interaction with Cope and Jericho. I wish I could find what was said during this because
It was awkward.
there was like Cope. I'm gonna keep saying Cope because I'm trying to get used to it.
Yeah.
Kept said that they had a
For
history.
the people at home that are maybe tuning in randomly, Cope is Edge, Edge is Cope.
Cope. Einhorn is Finkel.
I'm coping.
Finkel is Einhorn.
Can't say that.
That was a great reference.
I'm coping with the name change.
So, but Jericho, like Edge was talking about how they haven't faced each other in like 15 years, and Jericho basically said something that made it seem like, oh, I forgot about my entire time in WWE. Is how
Yeah, he was like, "Oh, we are." He's like, "Must be more important to you."
Yeah, that's what he says. He's like, "Oh, he's like, last couple of years must have been more important to you than it is to me," or something like that.
Yeah, and I was like, "What?"
Because they talked about how they're the only ones, or they have faced each other in the past 4 decades.
Yeah.
So 90s, 2000s, 2010s,
It was crazy.
and now 2020s, which is wild.
Yeah.
All right, Private Party would retain their tag titles against Leo Rush and Action Andretti, and then Christopher Daniels would be seen arguing with Hangman backstage. This is after the match at the pay-per-view. Hangman attacked Christopher Daniels, right? Was that the pay-per-view?
Yeah.
But Christopher Daniels would end up attacking Hangman, and they would brawl backstage. Makes me wonder if Christopher Daniels is going to start or have another match.
I don't feel like he should.
Why attack Hangman then?
I mean, no, I know the reasoning why, but I'm like, I don't really want to see it.
Anthony Bones and Max Caster would argue backstage after
That's
the loss.
my mischievous laugh.
Sounds like Majin Buu. Anthony Bones and Max Caster would argue backstage after the loss on Dynamite. Bones basically putting the blame on Caster and saying that Billy even hasn't been around because of Max. But the main event was rated FTR defeating the Learning Tree. Afterwards, we saw the Death Riders backstage with a tied up Midnight Express and a beaten down Outrunners. That was kind of an interesting segment earlier in the night when the Outrunners met Midnight Express.
Yeah.
Midnight
with
Express.
FTR standing right there. Yeah, they were backstage.
Oh, I was like, wait, is there some like jobber new team that's like trying to use that name? I was lost for a second.
But that sums up AEW for this week. Let's get into Raw, which I'm excited about. There was a lot going on this week,
Which is the reason why this episode's coming out Monday, because
So
we're not
this-
recording.
Yeah, so we're not gonna. We normally record during Raw, but we're not going to because it is the
My egg.
Netflix Raw premiere. Which I read Triple H said that there's not going to be any like time limit, and they have a lot of flexibility. Yeah, which I like.
That's perfect.
The egg.
Dude, we don't talk about the egg here.
The rock. The rock stars our egg.
We don't talk about the egg.
Dude, do you
all right?
remember we were covering WWE during that? We have old
I know.
episodes where that's like,
We did, right? It was very early on.
Terrible.
Awesome.
I just remember who came in his office and he was like, "Do you know how
Austin
much this
Theory.
egg is worth?"
$100 million.
Austin Theory, right?
Yeah, Austin Theory. Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, I like your spirit. You got spirit with the egg.
Okay, so with Raw, it was kind of historic. I remember talking to Tim about it. It was the final USA Network Raw after 32 years, minus the small TNN run that they had. So it was a pretty big deal.
It's a long time.
It's been on cable. It was the longest running episodic show on cable, right?
How can we
Up
forget?
until
Because
now.
they said that for like I don't know how many years.
32 years. No, I don't know. They've been saying it since like the early 2000s, I think.
Yeah.
But the New Day would open up the show. Who they're not quite at Dominic Mysterio heat, but they're getting there, and we saw it
Yeah.
for the first time in this segment. They couldn't really get a word out because the fans. Jey Uso would end up coming out, and he had tried to have a back and forth with them, but it didn't really work out. They ended up leaving the ring. He calls out Drew McIntyre. Solo would appear on the screen, and then this served as a distraction for Drew to attack Jey Uso from behind. Because of this, I believe we're getting Drew versus Jey on the Netflix Raw.
I think so, yeah.
I think they made a match for next week.
Yeah.
Or next week from that time, tomorrow, this time.
Today when it's released.
Backstage, Finn Balor would sarcastically tell Raquel to wish Liv luck. There's been tensions with Balor. Do you think he's the next to get out, and then Dominic takes over the Judgment Day?
I think so, because like they're not gonna let Dom go from this group because I think he's so tied to it, and like Finn, yeah, I feel like Finn is still good on his own. Like I don't know if Dom has proven that yet without a group.
Did you guys see the video of the house show of Dom? Did you send that to me, Andy?
They gave him tendies.
Yeah.
He
took a bite and he spit them out. He said, "These were the worst chicken tendies I've ever had."
Love Dom. I never thought I would say that back when we were covering.
Yeah.
Fucking.
You never thought you'd talk about Dom
run.
and his chicken tendies.
No, like when he first went heel, remember we were like, God, this is awful when he first joined the Judgment Day.
Yeah.
Now I'm like,
he's come a long way, man. I like him.
Mm-hmm.
I like his character. All right. Pete Dunne would attack R-Truth during his entrance for their match. Their scheduled match didn't happen. This is revenge off of the roll-up. I guess R-Truth did the Pete Dunne the week before. I think it was the week before.
You must try my mom's bean covered mustard sardine toast.
Holy shit.
Well, Tim didn't say any of the bad words there. That's okay.
Yeah, I tried to cut out all the bad stuff that they actually said.
It's Tuesday, isn't it?
Any British listener that we
Dude, we have none left. After all of these episodes, we have no more.
Beans and toast.
Oh, I like beans and toast.
My mustard cover sardine.
Van Dam. All right. Dakota Kai would defeat Zoe Stark. This was the Women's Intercontinental Tournament semifinals. So she's going to the finals now. Damian Priest and the War Raiders would team up to defeat the Judgment Day, who would end up attacking them afterwards when the match was over. Then we had the Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso announced for Raw Netflix debut. If you weren't sure that Penta was coming before, there was a very obvious teaser now. It showed the zero, but then it basically showed his mask, right?
Yeah.
And the mask part, not the face paint.
Yeah, the mask, yeah.
Because the face paint was down here.
I'm curious to see when he debuts. Do you think it'll be...
No, it's going to be on Netflix Raw.
Is it Netflix Raw?
Yeah, I wonder if I can find what is kind of scheduled for the Netflix Raw right now.
And I'm assuming that he goes by Penta as well. Like, they're not going to have to change that name.
Do you think he's going to go by just Penta, Pentagon Jr.?
I think just Penta.
Let's see what the card is looking like right now. No. All right. I want less segments. They're just giving me matches, which...
Well, I don't think they'd announce, or they're going to announce when he's coming out or debuting.
Right now, we only have Roman Reigns versus Solo Sikoa, tribal combat match. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre versus Jey Uso, Liv Morgan versus Rhea Ripley. I guess I should say it's speculated that Penta is going to be debuting then. Here, Forbes is saying a debut of Hikuleo, Zilla Fatu, or the return of The Rock could provide the extra push needed. Well, I believe today it was confirmed, right, that The Rock is gonna.
Yeah, he posted it himself.
Yeah. So The Rock will be there, which means fucking Punk and Rollins are not headlining, which pisses me off that they're not going to headline the show because The Rock has to end the show, of course.
He always has to end it.
And Roman and Solo aren't even Raw superstars; they're just in that in between shit.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense. I don't like it. Not a fan.
Not a fan at all.
All right. Ludwig Kaiser would call out Braun Breaker. Sheamus comes out instead and brawls with Ludwig. In the next... Oh, aren't we going to have the Women's Intercontinental Tournament Finals on the Raw Netflix too?
Yeah,
it should be at the Rumble.
No, it should be.
I don't know. Well, Lyra Valkyria defeated Io Sky. So it's going to be Dakota Kai versus Lyra Valkyria, except for the finals. If you remember, Lyra Valkyria got to the finals as well for the King or the Queen of the Ring against Nia, and she lost to Nia.
Yeah.
So now she's in the finals again of a tournament. All right. CM Punk versus Seth Rollins segment.
Oof.
What a fucking goddamn.
It's a great segment.
Great segment. Had to watch it twice.
That's why it should be in the main event.
Yeah.
It was so nice I had to watch it twice.
Okay. It can just be
Alright.
summed up by saying it was just back and forth insults basically the entire time. Yeah, they hurled insults at one another, one-liners. Didn't hold anything back. Referenced, Vince without saying his name. Referenced AEW without saying their name. And the tension between them. So let's go through some of the quotes. If you guys remember any other ones, feel free to chime in. So this is coming from Punk saying the most industry cliche planted bootlicker statement of all time. Punk was responding to Rollins saying that CM Punk took his ball and went home. After this, Punk would mention, did Austin do it? And Seth was like, yeah, he did. Let's see, what's another good one that I'm seeing here? Punk said, next week, I get to make a boatload of cash, making you the victim you've always wanted to be, little brother. Rollins would say, you took a big chunk of change to go to the competition. How'd that work out for you? That was the AEW reference. Now, Punk said this, which, Punk's a man that doesn't really change. He said this back in the day when he was champion. He said, I loved the place I work. I just hated the guy in charge, but he loved you. And so there's an old promo, as you all know, when he's sitting in the ring. He said, I love the place I work. I just hate the guys in charge.
Yeah.
And so after Punk said this, though, to Rollins said, watch what you say, which was a nice little fun add-on without actually saying it into the mic. Makes it feel like it's a real thing. Punk would mention, Becky. He said, did the man take her ball and go home? And he mentioned about Rollins' comeback for that, mentioned having a daughter and her being away for that. And he said, which you know nothing about, which was a dig at Punk.
What, him just having no kids?
Yeah, I guess. Make it as an insult, even though I'm pretty sure
kids, you piece of shit.
Even though I'm pretty sure it was a mutually decided thing between Punk and his wife.
He knows.
Punk said, for 7 years, they chanted my name, mostly during your television time.
That was a good one.
And then Punk would go on to talk about arrows in his back, and over the years, he's been taking them out, and then finally they all came out, and he's going to shove them down his throat.
Yeah.
Was there anything else you guys could think of that they talked about?
That kind of covered it. I thought this one, this promo for Punk
Shots
was one of his
fired,
best. Like,
now,
since
this
he's
is what
been
Tim
back.
said. Tim said, I think Rollins got the best of it. At least his first watch through, he said it.
Do you still think that, Tim?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm a Punk guy.
Oh,
I don't know.
One thing I like that Rollins brought up, he said, you left here, you went on your buddy's podcast talking about the Colt Cabana thing. He's like, try to tear this place down. When that didn't work, he's like, you went on every basically social media thing and tried to tear this place down. When that didn't work, you took a big chunk of change and then yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Went from there. So they mentioned the Colt Cabana. So if you're in the know about stuff that has gone on over the years, it was a really good promo.
Yeah. I just think that line about when Punk said the same thing again from years ago of like, I love this place, I just hate the people in charge, and you can go back and find that same exact thing. I was just
all he added
damn,
was, and he loved you.
Yeah.
Well, Tim sent me a cool video today of like this storyline that someone like put it together, like the fan made thing, Tim.
Yeah.
Where it shows like Rollins and Vince backstage after that line is said. Someone like edited it together and
Oh, that's cool.
Got me hyped for it, which makes me come back to, it's gonna have to open up the show, right? You either want to open the show or you want to be at the end.
Yeah, because you don't want to be in the middle.
And if The Rock is moving things around like you did at what was it, Money in the Bank? or SummerSlam. I don't remember when Roman faced,
Yeah,
or when
It
Cody
was.
faced Solo. Or yeah. Never mind.
it was Money in the Bank, I think.
No, I got it mixed up. I was thinking Cody versus Solo, but then that's when Roman came back.
Yeah.
Um. Okay, so that's Raw. Anything to add before we get into SmackDown?
No, just can't wait for
I mean, yeah, I'm
Netflix
just
Raw.
excited for Netflix Raw. I'm excited for Punk and Cody, Punk and Seth. Let's go.
All right, so it is the first SmackDown of the new year. That means it was the first 3-hour SmackDown ever. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
SmackDown's 3 hours from now on.
Well,
I don't remember ever it being 3 hours before.
It was always Raw. When they switched to a 3-hour show, it was Raw, never SmackDown.
Yeah.
I should say. We used to have 3. Was the ECW when it came back? Was that a 1-hour show?
yeah.
So we used to have.
Sunday Night
Damn.
Heat was an hour.
They used to. So they
Velocity.
had the AEW, which was a 2-hour show, a 1-hour show, and then another. Oh wait, no, actually, with Raw being 3 hours, it would be an extra. But
I think they even had more because then they had Sunday Night Heat. These weren't every week shows, but like Velocity.
Velocity was Saturday.
I used to remember
Saturday.
watching it because like Hurricane was on Velocity a lot.
Yes. That's
Yeah.
why Andy and I.
So
watched.
was so was Shannon Moore and like Billy Kidman.
yeah. Billy Kidman, I thought had a really cool theme song.
You know who was the staple of Sunday Night Heat? The
Yeah.
staple of Sunday Night Heat was fucking Stevie Richards was like every Sunday Night Heat.
Stevie
Yeah,
Richards
he
was
was.
Sunday Night Heat. Yep.
All right, so it's the first 3-hour SmackDown. Cody Rhodes would open up the show. I don't think anyone expected Drew McIntyre to come out.
Tommy Dreamer was Sunday Night Heat a lot. Jeff Hardy.
Oh yeah.
If Jeff Hardy was on Sunday
unfortunately.
Night Heat, you were like, hell yeah, that was like a good night.
So yeah, Drew McIntyre. Because again, what's the word, Jeremy? You haven't thought of what the word is.
Yeah, they said the portal. I think because I think they're using it from college football terms of a portal being open where you can transfer between teams, so they can transfer between shows right now.
So Drew would come out. He surprisingly would give him a hug, Cody a hug, which caught Cody off guard. Drew would tell Cody that he needed a friend, which Cody didn't seem to care. On his way out of the ring, Drew would say to watch his back. Kevin Owens would end up attacking Cody from behind, and they would brawl until officials and security would break it up. After that, we had a United States Championship match. Shinsuke Nakamura defeating Andrade. Shinsuke just competed over Noah, I believe.
Mhm.
I think he just came back from there. LA Knight would come out to attack, and he would get on the mic, cut a promo on Shinsuke, so it's not over yet with those two. Pretty Deadly has been spreading some rumors, and because of that, Legado del Fantasma getting a backstage fight with them. Pretty Deadly blamed the attack on the Street Profits on Legado del Fantasma, I believe. And so they wanted retribution. Then we had a segment with Paul Heyman
This was
by
good.
himself. He would come out. He came out to speak about Roman Reigns and Solo coming up on this coming Raw for Netflix. Before he could leave, Solo would come out, and he suggested that Heyman hold the Ula Fala during the match with Romans to protect it. He said he wanted someone that he can trust. And that was kind of the gist of it. Is there anything I'm forgetting, Jeremy?
No, it was just a good promo. It was like, Heyman kind of did that like what does he call it? It's not a prediction; it's a spoiler or whatever thing.
Well, Heyman also threw up 1, 2, 3, and he did the 1, 2, and the 3 like The Rock, and people were like, "Oh,
Yeah, he
he's
did
on
the
Rock's
three. Isn't it
side."
like what? How's the Rock do it?
He went
It's
1,
like-
2, and then he does that,
Yeah,
and so they're like, "Oh, he's on the Rock side." I'm like, oh, there's a lot of people that do 3 like that, but
I
Yeah.
did it for the
for the
Rock.
Rock,
I did it.
Rikishi.
Also,
Rikishi.
Solo's theme song every time it comes on, I love it.
I'm always just like,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, it's great. Solo is also, I mean, we might have talked about it before the live event videos of him. He's like low-key
Yeah.
funny as shit.
He is funny, yeah.
Is he all grown? Is he growing on y'all?
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, he's still not my tribal chief, but he makes me laugh.
He's not my tribal chief, but I still like him.
Oh yeah, and then Netflix Raw will also have Cena. I would love for Netflix Raw. I think it's a missed opportunity if they don't do this to even just have some sort of backstage interaction with Cena and Punk. Have they done that since Punk's been back?
No, Cena hasn't been there.
Not even like he didn't
Did
show
they do
up.
it when he showed up in Money in the Bank?
See, that's one. I don't. It just doesn't sound familiar to me. But
Yeah.
I think they definitely should do it if they
They should
haven't done it
definitely do it.
already.
I think they should have Cena kind of run into like a bunch of people that he could have matches with.
Just a little tease for
Yeah.
later. Alrighty. DIY versus Mercy and Machine Guns would have a match. Pretty Deadly would be out there for DIY side. Legado del Fantasma would come out and attack. This brawl would end up spilling into the ring, causing a end to the match. So I guess, both teams were hit, but it looked like DIY was about to tap out before this happened. Nia Jax versus Naomi, WWE Women's Title. Towards the end of the match, Tiffany Stratton would come out. She fakes a cash in. For some reason, decides to toss the ref, or hit the ref with the briefcase. Super unnecessary.
Yeah.
Then she hits Naomi. Nia gets the win. As Nia is celebrating, she hits Nia with the briefcase. She takes out Candice LeRae. She cashes in. Bianca hits the KOD on Nia. Tiffany takes Bianca out of the ring and tosses her over the announce table. Tiffany hits the prettiest moonsault. 1, 2, 3. New champion. God, dude, I was like, they better not. I already thought they were waiting too long to pull the trigger on Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton is now your new WWE Women's Champion. Thank God the fridge is no longer champion.
Oh my god! Can't say that.
Triple H is friends with Lemmy from Motorhead.
Yeah, it's pretty sick. Pretty sick. He's friends with Lemmy.
Dude, Tim's
God, I
hyped.
hate that sound.
Tim's hyped on Randy Orton's son, learning the pose.
Son?
And there's an online video of him doing the pose and learning, and his dad's like correcting him. He's like as big as Randy.
Yeah, young Randy Orton doing the Hunter's friends with Lemmy. You know, Lemmy's cool. It's one of the worst videos of all time. Anybody that doesn't know about that, look up Randy Orton Lemmy or Randy Orton Motorhead, dude.
It goes that, then it goes the Freaks come out at night.
Yeah.
Freaks. I like Gangrel that's like, the Brood hasn't talked because we weren't allowed.
And then there's also the Curtis Axel Nexus promo, which is awful.
Remember Jeff Hardy had one in TNA where he was like, my creatures of the night.
God, what was
so bad.
What was Curtis Axel's name? Something McGillicuddy?
Michael McGillicuddy.
Dude, worst fucking
I don't know. I think it was
promo
something like that.
of all time. Yeah, it was Michael McGillicuddy.
We're filling air. Andy's finding something.
He's
Andy,
in my moment. I was looking for the awful promo that he talks about. He's like, this moment will be my moment. Like, dude, it's so bad. I know I sent it to y'all, and it can't be like too far away. But God, is it fucking terrible, man. Yeah. It's up there with one of the worst promos I've ever seen. And I wasn't even watching during that era, keep in mind. Like,
I wasn't even there.
Also, there's like a compilation. I sent it to you guys, I think, way before, but like of Roman Reigns' promos, like early promos. And
those are bad. Yeah, you sent it.
He was like, I don't know what he was doing then.
I hated the con. All right.
I found it, by the way, yeah.
This moment from now From this moment on, this will be the moment, starting now, of the genesis of McGillicuddy.
Dude.
I can picture Vince behind the scenes being like, God. He like throws his headphones down all pissed.
It was like, remember when the Miz forgot the phone number? Yeah, it had washed away from his wrist when he was for the Diva search. He's like, you can call.
Oh yeah.
And he just fucking stuck there. From the moment of
This
McGillicuddy.
moment.
Remember, Batista had it all time great. You know what I want. Give me what I want.
Do you think he forgot his
Yeah.
lines then?
Yeah, he said he did.
Oh, okay. Give me what I want. Triple H is like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, he was like off the mic.
You want it?
You want it? You want it, Dave?
He's like, yeah, I want it. Oh my god. He's like, I gotta fucking save it. The main event of I forgot we hadn't even finished SmackDown yet. The main event of SmackDown was the new bloodline, Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso, who I guess is healed now. I guess his injury from War Games wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
And Sami Zayn defeating the OG. Oh no, it was the new bloodline, which is Tama Tonga, Solo, and Jacob Fatu defeating Sami Zayn, Jey Uso, and Jimmy Uso. Someone said that, well, at least this tribal chief, actually wrestles and doesn't just send his men out there. He's like wrestling with them all the time. I was like,
Alex Solo.
Yeah, Solo's actually in the shit with his men instead of just being like, take care of it.
Yeah.
That's because you ain't on the level though of Roman Reigns.
Did I ever
Don't
tell
get
you
that,
when
please?
there's a one time me and one of my band members and a different guy were doing some work down in Baltimore back when I worked for this like construction place, and we were taking a cigarette break out front, and this Andy's saying the shit made me think of this. This like scary ass dude came up to us with headphones on, and he just kept singing over and over again, "I was born and raised in the shit. I was born and raised in the shit." We were like, all right, please don't attack us.
But that does it, Tim. Do you have a classic show of the week?
I do.
I was born in the shit.
I was born and raised in the shit. I do. Let me see.
I do.
I do. Well, okay. So I wanted everybody to go to the Peacock, if you have it, or I'm sure this would be on YouTube. Just put in the Cock.
I loved when McAfee said that on air too.
The Cock.
Yeah.
Say go to the cock.
Go to the cock.
Bring up the Cock. It's not hard. It's a soft cock. It's easy if you need to find it.
And
I feel like Jim from the Office when he just looks at the camera after something says.
And
Also,
look up-
everyone, this is Andy's first time watching The Office.
First time watching The Office. First time talking
I'm
about.
halfway through
soft.
season 4. All right, I'm trying to watch in order.
So go to Peacock. Go to Monday Night Raw. Go in the WWE section. Click Monday Night Raw. Go all the way back in the archives and go to episode number 1. I figured with the new era of Raw starting, what a way to go. Last week we said just go pick your favorite episode of Raw. I figured this week let's go back to the beginning. So with the new era of Raw starting, go back to the first episode and we will see how much it's changed over the years since its new start on Netflix on Monday. So it's a very short show. It is Yokozuna against Coco Beware, the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott, against the Executioners, Dwayne Gill and Barry Hardy, Shawn Michaels against Max Moon for the Intercontinental Championship, The Undertaker versus Damian Demento,
The Undertaker.
and then the dark match of the show, which I don't even know if it's televised, I'd actually have to go back and see, is Crush versus Bam Bam Bigelow. So, think about that short little tiny card to the 3 hour juggernaut that it became, to now it's in its new era of Netflix. It's come a long way. We will catch you all next week for episode 161. Thank you all for joining us. Over the last few years, we really appreciate you all. Hope you all had great holidays, a good, safe new year, and we will see you next week. Thank you.